What is going on, you guys? It is Livid. Hope you're all doing very well today. Today I wanted to talk about Global Event Assault. I wanted to go over all of the modifiers, the commendations, the arm patches, and more importantly, the masks. While this global event is one of the easiest to understand, don't let that fool you. Some of the commendations, especially the masks, are the hardest to obtain in the Division 1. In this video, I'll explain how the modifiers work, which commendations you should prioritize, and the easiest way to earn all of the rewards. So first, let's go over the Assault modifiers. The first one is the Global modifier, just called Assault. Global modifiers are active everywhere in the game all the time, and they cannot be turned off. The only place where they do not work is in PvP. So just note that while it does work in areas like the Dark Zone and Last Stand, this does not work against other players. The Assault modifier is going to increase your damage whenever you're fighting enemies at close range. This is going to encourage some pretty aggressive playstyles. The next ones are Crucial and Major Assault. Crucial is going to keep that close range bonus, but it's going to make enemies significantly more dangerous at longer ranges. Snipers are going to be your biggest threats that you'll face with this modifier, alongside LMG gunners, engineers, and LMB rogue agents. And finally, the Major Assault modifier is the Crucial Assault modifier behavior, plus all enemy damage is increased further at long ranges, as well as agent damage increased even further when nearby teammates. Next, let's cover the classified gear sets that are possible to obtain from this GE. We're going to have Reclaimer, Sentry, and Striker. All of these sets are what I would consider meta builds for the endgame, so make sure that you guys are hopping on and getting as many of these as you possibly can to complete as many sets as you can. In order to purchase caches for these, you will need to earn Global Event credits. Global Event credits can be earned from various different areas of the game. I'm not going to list any of that here. I'm just going to leave those linked in the description below. So make sure to go and check that out. Next, we'll go into the commendations. Most of these will need to be completed in World Tier 5 and over Hard Plus difficulty. If the missions are done in a group, all of the group members are under the same conditions. This means that if player 1 is working on one commendation, players 2 and 3 and 4 will need to follow the same conditions in order for player 1 to achieve that commendation requirement. Let's start off just with the regular commendations. These ones are pretty natural to complete and usually just requires playing the event. First one being Agent with a Shotgun. This only requires killing 3 enemies within 5 seconds with a shotgun and is essentially free. This can be kind of buggy sometimes, but you should get it done as long as you're just using a shotgun. You can use like a Showstopper, SASG, Super 90, whatever works best for you. The next one is Fast Mover. This is going to ask you to kill 10 enemies within a 60-second window during a mission playlist. This usually just happens without trying and is usually free as well. The next one is Pineapple. This one requires a total of 70 grenade kills under the close range damage bonus. This can take you some time, but it is still pretty easy. You could use short bows if you wanted to make this faster, and Final Measure does help you retain all of the fragmentation grenade bonuses. It sounds brutal, but I promise frags do a lot of damage for this event, so Pineapple is actually pretty easy. It's just going to be a little time consuming. From there, you're going to naturally work through Danger Close, Long Distance Caller, Battle Buddies, Superhuman, and the rest of the playlist completion commendations. For Long Distance Caller, I would recommend rotating this depending on who in the group is working on it. Obviously, a full group of snipers isn't going to be super beneficial, especially during Falcon loss. So I would say just find a group and just pick one person that needs it, or just be vocal if you need it, let your team know. As usual, tactician builds can be used. As long as the sniper is in your hand, it will count towards the commendation. That's pretty much it for the regular commendations. Let's go over arm patches. These ones are actually super easy. 2 of them are just from doing really simple stuff. One of them being the cash grab. This one might actually take you the most amount of time. This is just simply buying 30 superior caches. Don't overthink it, just farm credits. I already have, like I said, some farming guides linked below if you need those for maximizing your credits. The next one is the Assault Boss Killer commendation. This requires only 30 LMB bosses, you guys. This is super easy. And also, mission bosses and open world bosses are going to count as 2 kills each, while the Dark Zone and HVT bosses only count as 1. Rather than rushing through the playlist missions, I would just recommend spreading this out naturally. You can also farm the 5 LMB open world boss locations throughout the week. Those 5 bosses are going to give you 10. So that's already 1/3 done. Very easy, don't overthink it. The next one we have is Wet Behind the Ears. Also very easy. This is just completing an activity within the playlist under the Crucial or Major Assault modifiers. You can make it easy for yourself and just your Crucial. Really, none of the events this GE require the Major Assault modifier, so really you could just do Crucial for all of these and all of them should count. And then finally we have FaceTime. This is another easy one. It's just going to require 30 close range kills during a single playlist mission. You can definitely knock this out in one run while solo, but this does need to be completed in World Tier 5 and Hard Plus difficulty. Now we're getting into the reason why most people actually play Assault, which is for the masks. These masks are iconic, but they're also where most of the challenge is going to come from. The first one is Hockey. This is the simplest of the three, and it just requires 500 LMB kills on the playlist missions. It's not difficult per se, it just takes you some time. Queen's Tunnel is probably going to be the best method for this because there is a constant spawning wave for 3 minutes at the end before the boss spawns. But as long as you're playing the event and putting your head down and just getting kills, you should get this done relatively quickly. The next two are where the real challenge comes in, which is the Happy and Piggy masks. We'll start off first with Piggy. Piggy is just going to require all of the event playlists to be completed without using healing skills. So this involves the first aid, support station, and the recovery link. Just to be safe, I would just use no medical wing skills at all and just use the skills from the tech wing and the security wing. This one does need to be done in World Tier 5 and in Hard Plus difficulty as well. And it only needs the crucial modifier, it does not need the major assault modifier. And finally, the Happy Mask also requires the entire assault playlist event to be completed, and this one instead requires no agents being downed or dead. Note that when both of these are done within a group, that all of the players inside the group need to abide by the same conditions for the commendations, meaning if player 1 is working on Piggy, players 2, 3, and 4 also need to be working on Piggy in order for player 1 to actually receive the mask. Now, there are 3 really big pieces of advice that I can give for this, for when it comes down to Falcon Lost. The biggest piece is don't try to earn both masks in the same Falcon Lost run. It is technically possible, and if you get it, that's great, but it's going to be far more frustrating than it's worth. Just split them up into separate runs. It's going to save you a lot of headache. The next piece of advice is do not play this on Heroic. Hard Plus difficulty is all that's required for all of the Assault commendations, and since the incursions don't have a hard difficulty, just choose Challenging. Note that this is going to create mostly veteran or purple enemies instead of elites or golds. That being said, damage to elite mods are not as necessary here, but they can still provide some value in later waves. Other gear mods may be of more use, such as health, crit chance, or even signature resource gain for faster ult cooldowns. And finally, the last piece of advice for this is that the major assault modifier is not required, so just put it on the crucial assault modifier. You're just going to create more hassle for yourself if you use major. So to make it easy, dumb this down to as easy mechanics as possible. Just do it on Challenging, just do it on Crucial, and split them up into 2 runs. Doing it this way is going to ensure in one run that you can have a Reclaimer on the team. A good Reclaimer is going to keep you guys alive and prevent you guys from going down. And then the other run, you guys can just simply focus on doing the mission with just the skills that are required. That way, if you go down, it's not that big of a hassle. For these Falcon Lost runs, I would prioritize survivability over raw damage. Final Measure and Nomad are my 2 biggest recommendations. I would aim for at least 5,000 to 6,000 stamina. The long range bonus can make enemy snipers, rogue agents, and LMG gunners extremely dangerous, so glass cannon builds are not worth it whatsoever. You will get one-tapped with them. If you don't have full 6-piece classified sets, just use Ninja Bike builds or just use up to 4 pieces of the set. Like 4-piece Nomad is fine, 4-piece Final Measure is fine. If you do have a Ninja Bike, hybrids are very useful, especially like Final Measure and Defense. Both of these have protection from elites and they both work out very well. The skills that I found the most useful, especially for challenging difficulty, were the Gas Seeker Mine and the EMP Sticky Bomb. The Gas Seeker is going to actually seek out targets for you and immobilize the veteran enemies. It will disorient the elites as well, but usually the elites will start walking around or take cover shortly afterwards. Since there are far more veterans in challenging difficulty, you're going to have far more immobilized enemies, and it's going to be a lot easier to take them out with this. I believe the Gas Seeker also has a shorter cooldown, and you can pull aggro from the APC with it. So if you are one of the runners on the right side of the APC, I would chuck a Seeker Mine over the barrier, like towards the front of the APC, while the other player is setting the bomb on the APC. That way the turrets auto-target the Seeker first and not the player that is running the bomb. The EMP Sticky is useful for disrupting the drones that spawn in. There is also a commendation to do this like in the regular missions, so this is a double whammy in my opinion. It also just comes in handy towards the later waves to disrupt the turrets from the engineers and the agents, as well as disrupt the healing stations from the medics. These can be very overwhelming in the end waves, especially like towards the last 2 waves, because there are a lot of medics here. they are going to put down a lot of stations and it's going to become overwhelming. So the EMP does make a really big difference here. For positioning in Falcon Lost, I strongly recommend holding the platform on the right side of the room instead of the tunnel down in the middle. There's far more extra cover here that makes dealing with the snipers easier, and there's less areas to get flanked from. When it's time to plant the bombs, I like to recommend sending 2 players every time. One is going to disable the turrets on the right side, and the runner is going to disable the turret and plant from the left. The player on the right or left can throw a gas seeker mine towards the APC before planting. This often pulls the attention away from the runner, making the entire process much safer. The person that's running the bomb can also just drop a seeker at their feet, and sometimes the turrets will focus the seeker before you. While 2 people aren't required while planting, I just think it's much safer this way. It guarantees that both turrets are off, and it makes running to a safer location much easier. But there you guys have it. That is the Global Event Assault in a nutshell. Really hoping this video was far more useful than my last few Global Assault breakdowns. Remember to join our Discord server to matchmake with other players for your platforms. We have players across all platforms right now joining in and getting these iconic masks. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I will talk to you later.
Your division pals are breaking my balls here.
Not for long, coming in.
Your division pals are breaking my balls here.
Doing something right then.
Right?
Can't believe the bullshit that went down in the dark zone at the end there. I know. We had it. Everything I told them was dead on. They made us pull out anyway. And we left our dead behind. Yeah, we're not supposed to do that. Hang on a second.